News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, this is newly unearthed video that I'm about to play from you. I played for you. I played some of it. I rewound a little bit, and we're going to play the rest of it. This is newly unearthed video. It shows the aftermath of the St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, the riots, the George Fentanyl riots. And you will hear a sergeant in the Minneapolis Police Department say, I heard the Governor Walz, say, give it up the 3rd precinct. Give up the 3rd precinct. I will play the rest of that for you here in a moment. My questions for you are, I also have for you audio of Tim Walz praying, Governor Tim Walz praising a Jew-hating Hitler promoter. It is a radical Islamist imam in Minneapolis area there, and he introduced her. He spoke well of her, glowingly of her, called her a master teacher. She promoted a pro-Adolf Hitler film. And the Anti-Defamation League has a lot to say about this, too, by the way. I'll share their statement. But you're going to hear him say that this imam is taught. She's a master teacher, and she's taught him so much. Yes. Including how to sport a narrow mustache just above your lip, and to shout like a madman, and to put up that hand and yell, Heil Hitler. She indeed has taught him a lot. So, and that's forced Kamala's campaign to respond. I'll share all that with you momentarily. But let's play this piece of video, which you'll hear the audio thereof, from WCCO TV, the biggest local affiliate for television outlet and radio, by the way, in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Here is that video. I've rewound it a little bit that I've been playing for you.
Dog suits, but were still hit and injured with bottles, cement, and more. Sergeant Hedberg blames state, city, and department leaders for the abandonment of the 3rd precinct.
I heard the governor say, give it up. It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, give up the precinct. I mean, that's demoralizing for this whole state.
And the 3 described a demoralized police force with dozens of officers planning to retire or quit.
I believe I speak for every Minneapolis cop when I tell you that I've never been more publicly humiliated.
They also described a city out of control.
The crime is rampant in Minneapolis.
Okay. What you need to know is the Governor Walz let the city burn. He delayed his calling of the National Guard 3 days, and that's when it burned to the ground. He said, let it, what did he say? Let it go. He said, let it go. Or excuse me, give it up, he said. Give up the 3rd precinct, let it burn to the ground, let the Marxist BLM terrorist burn that to the ground, terrorize the cops, let them flee like dogs with their tail between their legs like we did in Afghanistan. That's his legacy. Remember his wife said, I played it for you. She said, I played it for you on the air last week. She said, I opened up my windows all night so I could smell the burning. She thought it was amazing. That's your vice president and the second lady, if you choose to vote for them. Also, much more in a second, but I want to give out the number and I want you to react. I want you to tell me this. I also have Kamala recasting everything. Everything. She's worse than John Kerry when it comes to flip-flopping. I'll describe it all in a moment, but she's being recast now as a centrist Democrat. So what do you think about all that? Do you feel Walz is just as radical as just as much of a radical left member of the radical left as Kamala is? Do you feel that Governor Walz is just as much of a radical leftist as Kamala is? How do you feel about Tim Walz lying about serving in combat, falsely giving himself a promotion in his rank? If it's not stolen valor, then it's all cool. If you don't want to call it that, that's fine. I'm just saying, then what do you call it? You know, How do you feel about that? And how confident? You're going to hear from me telling you about PolitiFact. The PolitiFact and the Dallas Morning News rated it false that he actually was in combat and that he carried a weapon in combat. They did say that's false today. So how do you feel about him lying about that? And then how confident do you feel Kamala and Walz will be that they'll be more moderate if they win? How confident are you they'll be more moderate if they win? And where do you see our country going under their leadership? 800-288-WBAP is our number. There's 3 minutes for you to call in, so get on the phone right now. I'm going to put you on right away. 800-288-9227 is our number. Chime in right now. Now, how did Walz do at Black Lives Mattering in his years of governorship? Well, a year before he became governor, the homicide rate of blacks was 10.9 per 100,000. 10.9 blacks killed per 100,000. Okay? It almost tripled under Tim Walz. It went from, in his third year of being the governor, it went from 10.9 blacks per 10,000, 10.9 per 100,000 dying by homicide, to 29.8, from 10.9 to 29.8. If you were black, you were 3 times more likely to be killed in Minnesota under his governorship. And the decade before he took over the state for 2 terms, I think he's done almost 2 full terms. The decade before Walz was the governor, the black homicide victimization rate, so how many victims, blacks were victims of homicide, was 12.8 a year. 12.8, the victimization rate average. So the rate of average was 12.8, and under his tutelage, his first 5 years, it was 23.4. It doubled. It literally almost doubled. The amount of black victims in the state of Minnesota almost doubled. So that's not homicide, but it's all crime being victimized. It's an increase of 83%. An 83% increase. You're 83 times more likely to be a victim of a crime than you were under a previous administration. If you were black, whites, by the way, were killed 22% more under Walz's administration. Nationally, by the way, this is where you get the real number. Like, what was national versus Minnesota? Here you go. Nationally, the black homicide victim rate went up 45%, but in Minnesota went up 83%. Do you understand? It's literally double what the national was. You were so more likely to die if you were black in Minnesota under his governorship. Almost double what you were in any other state in the country with this average. Blacks are more victims of crime, more killed, more deadly, more everything under Tim Walz. That's what his compassionate leftist Marxism leadership did. Tim Walz lied. This is Dallas Morning News PolitiFact story today, published today on their website. Tim Walz lied when he said those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons should be at. He lied. That was never true. J.D. Vance said, what was this weapon you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he hasn't spent a day in a combat zone? The ruling from PolitiFact and Dallas Morning News, Vance said that Walz said he carried weapons in war, but he has not spent a day at a combat zone. We rate Vance's statement true. In other words, he lied. He didn't spend a day in combat. I played that for you several times last week, and now you hear it from PolitiFact and Dallas Morning News. He lied. He's a liar. That's stolen valor. He literally lied and said he was in war to make himself look like a badass dude who served his country in a badass way. He didn't. He left. He ran away from the gunfire. He ran away from the war. But yet he stole that valor. So that's stolen valor to me. Justin, he's in Minnesota. We'll pop on next, right? All right, Justin in Minnesota, you're not allowed to go anywhere because you are going to tell us what it was like under Governor Walz and react to this. He has called in. Your call next as well at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. There's one task that the Harris campaign dropped the ball on, says Fox News, with Walz in his rollout. The Democrat and GOP strategists both agree on that they dropped the ball on. And also, Kamala is being recast as a centrist Dem, but the New York Post says she's anything but, and I agree. All that is next. It's Chris Kroc, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Oh, you're going to hear Walz praise the radical Islamist imam also coming up at 9:18 on the Chris Crock Show, WBAP.
I would like to, first of all, say thank you to Imam. I am a teacher, so when I see a master teacher, I know it. And over the time we've spent together, one of the things I've had the privilege of is seeing the things in life through the eye of a master teacher to try and get the understanding, listening today to the stories and what it means.
Yes, a radical Islamic cleric, an Islamist cleric who promoted a pro-Adolf Hitler film. She was promoting in a pro-Adolf Hitler film, and he called her a master teacher, and he's been studying her over time that they've spent together. That was 2018. He loved this master teacher, and perhaps she showed him how to, get a trim mustache or above your lip, a little one, and Yell Heil Hitler. I don't know, but it seems that he really, really has taken a liking to her. She's a master. She's a master teacher, and he studies under her, like Mr. Miyagi. Kamala's campaign said Friday Walz does not have a personal relationship with Asad Zaman of the Muslim American Society of Minnesota. Well, he considers her a master teacher. What do you mean he doesn't have a personal relationship with him? He studied under her. She's a master teacher. How could you not have a personal relationship with a master teacher that you studied? That'd be like Ralph Macchio saying you never had a personal relationship with Mr. Miyagi. I mean, bull, beep, right? My gosh. In a Friday statement, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, says this woman has a troubling history of playing into a classic anti-Jewish themes and justifying violence against Israel. Given the hurtful remarks post-October 7th and absent any recognition of the pain that has been caused in the Jewish community, we all urge public officials and leaders to avoid meeting with these people in the future. Those who have met with Imam Zaman should clarify they don't agree with his toxic views about Jews and the Jewish state. There you go. No, you ADL needs to go over there and learn from her. She's a master teacher. They need to study under her and have a personal relationship like Tim Walz has. I mean, look, he's talking. He's just an everyday guy. He'll cook you a casserole. She's a master teacher. I studied under her. Meantime, she's being recast as a centrist Democrat. But I want to go to Justin in Minnesota. Justin, you are on WBAP. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking the call. Just on the last couple of points there. It's interesting. They use the Muslim thing when it suits them, and now they want to distance themselves from this, and find that kind of interesting. As well as when we agree with the ADL, there's something wrong in this world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
But no, to be clear, I'm actually I live in Minnesota, but I'm sitting over in Colleyville right now. But I listen to your show all the time when I'm down here, and
thank you.
Sometimes on the app.
Thank you.
I did not know that you were from there, or not from there, but had been on.
Yeah, I was
CCO.
at KSTP, not CCO. I was at KSTP. I studied under the great Joe Soucheray, who's now retired, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And the great Tommy Mischke.
So it was interesting when you brought up Esme, because I'm glad she got it right on this story. And she's generally, I would like to say fair-minded. I'm sure she tilts. You may tell me different, but I'm sure she tilts.
I have nothing to say other than she. I know. Okay. I watched a lot of her stuff because of my job. That's all, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was.
And Randy Kay used to be over there. Randy Kay used to be over there. Now she's with Fake News CNN. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with Esme because she had just commented the other week on the Harris bail fund and was correcting Trump, and it was kind of a
Yeah, there you go. What do you expect?
But as far as for your audience, I'm sure you've talked about on previous shows The Fall of Minneapolis by Liz Collins, which is a movie about the whole George Floyd thing and brings up a lot of what
George Floyd. Saint George Floyd. We call him either.
Saint George
Blessed
Floyd.
be his name, or you can call him George Fentanyl. You can call him George Fentanyl on this show too. Go ahead.
And for your caller or for your listeners too, there's a whole square there that's designated for him now. That's a no-go zone, particularly if you're of the white variation.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
Well, these are the things that Tim Walz' legacy. Yes.
Well, we call him Emperor Walz and living behind the Iron Curtain because that's pretty much the way he's led that state, and he's just driven it to the ground. And I actually, you're familiar with the states where a lot of people had lake places there, right? Land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah.
And when this happened, I shot right to the lake place, but because it was just so toxic down there, and I didn't want to be around all the riots. But I know business owners that were around the area and then just in downtown that were affected by it, and the crime and everything's never been the same since.
No, it's a fallen city. 40% of the Minneapolis Police Department left. 40% of it left. Gone.
And that says a lot, too, because not all those police officers are necessarily conservative, and this shouldn't be a political thing.
No, they don't want to go to jail or be called a terrorist or be killed.
Well, yeah, and it's not just this, right? There was a few after this. There was another one with I forget her last name right now, but Officer Kim. She had pulled her gun instead of her taser by accident.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was an accident.
Yeah,
and again, they're not on the side of police, and she went to jail as well.
Yes, I remember that.
And he just doesn't have their back. But yeah, I don't think it's funny. I did not hear the audio from his wife that you had mentioned.
Oh,
and I mean, if you didn't think he was cooked before that, he's really cooked now. They're gonna have to drop him, and I'm still not even convinced too until the end of next week. And even there's people beyond even into next week and beyond that think that they're still going to be swapped, both of them. And I think if the polls start tilting the other way like they did, we all know they didn't pull Biden because of health.
I got to roll, but you're a great caller. Keep it up, my friend. I appreciate you, Justin. All right.
You bet, sir.
All right. Thanks. All right. You betcha, as we say in Minnesota. Come on now. Yeah, you betcha. Okay, I'm actually going to do a little bit more on this. Harris campaign dropping the ball, one basic task with their rollout. What was it with Walz? And then she's recasting herself as a centrist Democrat. Why that is a lie. Coming up next, then Google is now an illegal monopoly. A U.S. judge found today. What do you think about that? Oh, I have lots to say about that. Coming up next, Chris Kroc Show, News Talk, I should say coming up at 9:34. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I am very grateful for one of our callers who said to me, to one of my screener, actually, Garrett 2, producer Garrett 2, the imam is a he, not a she. Well, here's what happened. The video that I played for you, CNN even reported on this too, by the way, and it's even more damning about this relationship that he has with this imam. There's a woman behind him, and she's nodding and smiling. So it looked like he was talking about her, but he wasn't. So I rewatched the video, and what he's doing is he does raise his arm and motion to the left of him. The woman's to the right of him. She got a hijab behind, she has a hijab on, and she's behind him. So I thought it was a she, but no, it's clearly a he, and I looked his name up and everything. Anyway, it's worse than it even appears. First of all, here's Walz praising him again. This is going to be more damning. You're going to hear more on this in a sec.
I would like to, first of all, say thank you to Imam. I am a teacher, so when I see a master teacher, I know it. And over the time we've spent together, one of the things I've had the privilege of is seeing the things in life through the eye of a master teacher to try and get the understanding, listening today to the stories and what it means.
This guy's a radical Islamist imam, and in fact, he is a fan of Hitler. He tweeted out a pro-Hitler movie, and it's worse. Look at fake news CNN on this. Walz's appearance alongside the Muslim cleric was one of several in recent years, several appearances with him, okay? It comes after the imam shared a link in 2015 of a neo-Nazi propaganda film portraying Adolf Hitler as in a positive light. He's also shared a Hamas press release. Wow. In 2016, mourning the death of a Bangladeshi Muslim politician who was executed after being found guilty of war crimes. It's worse. He has shared anti-Israel posts on social media. October 7th. On the terror attack of Israel, he expressed solidarity with the Palestinians against Israeli attacks, while sharing a statement from the Muslim Society of Minnesota condemning Israel's recent unprovoked attacks. Earlier that day, he shared a post arguing Palestine has the right to defend itself. In a statement to fake news CNN, Kamala campaign spokesperson, she doesn't talk to the press, as you know, she doesn't take interviews. She said that Walls and the radical clerist, Islamist cleric, do not have a personal relationship. I love that. He just hangs out with them many times over the years, including last year. And he says, I know a master teacher when I'm under a master teacher. He's a master teacher. This is awesome. Fake News CNN has reached out to the radical cleric and the Muslim American Society of Minnesota for comment. Walls has met and appeared alongside this radical Islamist cleric, Zaman, on multiple occasions as governor, including a meeting as recently as last year about a spike in security concerns at local mosques. Kill the Jews, attack the Jews, murder the Jews, and then praise Palestine. Oh, we're getting picked on. Red alarm, four alarm fire. And then in between, kill the Jews, hang the Jews, burn the Jews. Oh, we're getting picked on again. All right. The radical Islamists joined Governor Walls and other Minnesota elected officials at a news conference last year calling for the end of the federal government shutdown. In January 2019 as well. He delivered an invocation along with other faith leaders at Walls' annual State of the State address. He had him be his warm-up act at the State of the State address at his annual. This is great. Allahu Akbar! The condition of this Islamic State of Minnesota, or Akbar, is great, inshallah. We must make our great kafir, which is a negative, pejorative term for a non-believer. We must make this kafir our governor many terms. Inshallah. He delivered an invocation with other faith leaders at the State of the State address. Walls and Zaman both spoke at a news conference featuring Minnesota elected officials and community faith leaders calling for protesters to act peacefully after George Fentanyl died in 2020. In a 2018 video, Walls says he spoke to the radical cleric after a 2017 bombing of a mosque in Bloomington, Minnesota, and separately discussed with the radical cleric, Islamist cleric, U.S. policy towards Syrian refugees under the Trump administration. To be very honest, in this space, Imam is right on this. There is Islamophobia. There's hatred that's being stirred. There are people in leadership positions that are making the situation worse. He was talking about Orange Man bad. Kill the Jews, burn the Jews. This guy is awesome. He's a master teacher. I've learned from him. And then, no, we didn't have a personal relationship with him. No. He's a master teacher, though. So here's the one thing Fox News editorial wrote today. The Harris campaign dropped the ball on one basic task, doing a background check on Walls, they say. They didn't properly prepare for potential attacks on the vice president's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, according to Democrat and Republican political strategists. They say in this report right now, clearly a failure of reverse opposition research by the Harris campaign. They said he would like to ban the kind of weapons. He lied and said he'd like to ban the kind of weapons he carried in war, which he never fought in war. The Harris campaign said, he misspoke. He misspoke! I swear, when I was in Italy, it felt like I was in war. I misspoke. I didn't realize I wasn't in war when I've been telling everybody for years I have been in war. In making the case for why weapons of war should never be on the streets, the governor misspoke. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Hey, Hike, first of all, do you feel Walz is just as radical leftist as Kamala is? I think he's even worse. And by the way, how confident do you feel Kamala and Walz will be more moderate if they win? Where do you see our country going under their leadership? I see it going to hell, to pot. Here's why. That she's not a moderate. Look at this. This is from New York Post editorial board. Ready? In 2019, GovTrack rated Kamala the most liberal in the Senate and being the least likely to sign on to bipartisan legislation. However, that page is, quote, page not found. They've taken it away. They call her a chameleon with a K. She's a chameleon with a K. The chameleon says she wouldn't ban fracking. Trump's false claims about fracking bans, blah, blah, blah. But in 2020, when she ran for president 4 years ago, she wanted to ban fracking. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. She said on Fake News CNN at a debate. I played that for you in the air. She also says she's in favor of banning offshore drilling. She said, yes, she is. By the way, we have a major find in the Gulf that we're about to tap into. And this is going to go for, I think, 10 to 15 years. And it's going to provide, I can't remember the number. It was massive, like 23 million barrels of oil a day. For like 10, 15 years. I think maybe it was 15 years before it might start to slow down. But this is insane. We're about to tap that in. She would ban that. Chameleon, the vice president no longer supports a single-payer healthcare system. Lie. When she ran as president 4 years ago, she said, let's eliminate all healthcare. Let's move on. She, in 2019, she favored Medicare for all plan, even co-sponsored legislation of that with Bernie Sanders, taking away all of our healthcare. If you like your healthcare, you won't keep it. It's going to be government. Like Canada, where you wait a year to get your hip replaced and you're in pain, and if you have money, come to U.S. and have it done right away. The truth is, she also favored getting rid of ICE. She said crossing the border was no crime at all. By the way, she also she wanted to close all the detention facilities. Every detention facility she wanted to close. Here it is.
I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one. On day one.
Woo! No more detention facilities for illegals. Woo! She says, oh, no, not anymore. I've changed. When she ran for president 4 years ago, she said she wants to defund the police. I played that for you. And she also praised the mayor, Eric Garcetti of Los Angeles at that time, for defunding LAPD. Also, she said she doesn't believe that anymore all of a sudden. She says she also used to support a federal job guarantee. It was part of the New Green Deal. She co-sponsored and backed the New Green Deal. She actually wanted to break the Senate. She wanted to break the Senate to get it passed. I'm prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass the Green New Deal, she said. Now she said, nope, I don't support a guaranteed federal job to anybody who wants to go apply and get a job with the government. And nope, I don't support the Green Deal. Wow. New Green Deal, whatever it is. No, now she doesn't know. And she claims now that she stands shoulder to shoulder with Israel. But yet, just a couple years ago, she said she refused to, a couple weeks ago, she refused to attend the prime minister's address to Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and then she criticized how Israel has responded to Hamas terror attacks. No longer. Now she's their biggest advocate. Harris also suddenly endorsed no taxes on tips like 2 days ago, stealing it from Trump and pretending like she came up with it. Does she stand for anything? Or is her only ambition to say and do whatever it takes to get elected? So my question is, do you actually think she'll be more moderate and a centrist if she were to win election? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Obviously, the answer is no. She's a chameleon with a K. She's a liar, and she's a flip-flopper. She is twice the flip-flopper that John Kerry was. And what they need to do is create an ad literally all of this and what they say now and just blow that up. That can ruin her entire campaign right there. She has no character. She lies about everything. She is a chameleon with a K. Up next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Coming up at 9:52. The landmark court ruling declares Google a monopoly. How do you feel about that? I cannot wait to tell you my thoughts on this. Next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Okay, Google is officially ruled a monopoly by a federal judge, and I honestly am very happy about this. I despise Google. They despise me. They despise my values. They despise my politics. They seek to destroy the ability for me to even search out the truth about why Donald J. Trump is the best solution for this country, and that Kamala is the worst solution for this country. If you look at those two, there is no other choice. And Google has hidden the assassination of President Trump. Google hides any good news about Trump. And when you search under Trump, you find bad stories about him and great stories about Kamala on that same top of the page. It's breathtaking. It's Orwellian. Google hates us. They literally hate us. They seek to control us and dominate us and censor us. I swear to you, they would put us in jail. And yes, dare I say, even put us in camps. I literally am not. These people despise us. They have no faith. They have no faith that guides them. Their faith is this. This is their religion. And we must be taken out and subjugated. That is how they feel about us. And they're able to do this with impunity because of their power. So I could not be happier about this. And then I want to pivot on that and I'll say, well, who else should be broken up? And that would be Jeff Bezos and Amazon. I don't like giving that man my money. I don't like his values. He hates us too, and he seeks to dominate us. And it's evidenced by his banning of books that tell the truth about the radical transgender and LGBTQ movement, and anything that's truthful about what these minor surgeries for minors, sex changes and other operations and all this other stuff. If it's truthful, they ban it. They hide it. They also illegally control the world's book publishing and sales. And I've seen them ban so many things. And I hate it. I hate having to tell people when I have guests on that are authors to get their books at Amazon. I hate it. I hear Mark Levin do it. I hate it. I don't like these guys. I don't like giving them my money. But a lot of times they're the only choice. And so I do seek to have, Amazon busted up too. I really do. It reminds me of back in the day. And look, I was young when this went on, so I didn't study it because I was, playing with my toys or something. But I remember hearing about the Baby Bells, the Ma Bell being broken up into the Baby Bells back in the day, and how onerous and oppressive and controlled it was under Bell. What was it called? The Alexander Bell Company, where, phone. Can't remember what it was. It was something Bell. But, Alexander Graham Bell, and the company was named Bell, something Bell after him. And they called it the Ma Bell was broken up into Baby Bells, which is they ruled on a similar type of a case against them and forced them to break them up. Anyway, that's what this is. And I could not be happier about this. Google violated antitrust law, spending billions of dollars to create an illegal monopoly and become the world's default search engine. The first big win for federal authorities. This is bipartisan. Senator Amy Klobuchar, a total radical leftist from Minnesota, highlights bipartisan support for antitrust enforcement against big tech. Google paid $26+ billion in 2021 to maintain search engine dominance. The judge noted that paves the way for the trial and remedies, including potential breakup of Alphabet. That's what I want. So here's my questions for you on this. How do you feel about Google being declared a monopoly? And what would you like to see Google forced to do in light of this decision? I would like to see them broken up. And I would like to see it more conservative ownership like the Musk taking of Twitter. Do you know that a Washington Post reporter today asked Karine Jean-Pierre about the about the fact that Musk hosted Trump yesterday on Twitter and how it's disinformation. Literally, he asked, you're going to hear this coming up next at 10:03. He said that disinformation, misinformation on Twitter is now terrible and everywhere, and how it's got to be stopped. And what are you doing? Oh, yes, it does need to be stopped. So literally, Trump being interviewed by Musk live on Twitter yesterday for a couple hours is misinformation and disinformation and needs to be stopped. That's what the Washington Post reporter, straight-faced, asked of Karine Jean-Pierre today. I mean, this is where we're at. So this is, we're in Orwellian times unequivocally. Not maybe, we are. We're not about to go in there. We're there. How do you feel about Google being declared a monopoly? What would you like to see Google be forced to do in light of this decision? And what other companies do you want to see get declared a monopoly? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. You'll hear what I was just talking about coming up at 10:04 on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.